Well, we have finally made it. It is the week of the horror show and Extreme Rules, or whatever the hell they're calling it. And look, in many ways, it's quite interesting when you go through the card, but there are so many strange stipulations, it kind of makes your brain explode. But I will say this, over the last few weeks, a big criticism towards this pay-per-view has been, well, that's not very extreme. Well, you can't say that about 2020. My name is Simon from What Culture, and before we get to Sunday, we gotta go through every single damn match, and then as ever, WWE will add more from nowhere, and we gotta predict it. Let's do it, and make sure you do it too in the comments. We will start with MVP versus Apollo Cruz for the United States Championship, and I am far more pumped for this than I thought I was going to be, because obviously Bobby Lashley's going to be involved, and maybe Cedric Alexander, maybe Ricochet, and I've basically decided for this video, for this set of predictions, to go extreme myself, because it makes things a little bit different and it makes things a little bit more fun. So with that in mind, I am going to say that MVP does indeed become the new United States Champion. He keeps that brand new belt that he's made for himself, and he does it not only because he's assisted by Bobby Lashley, but also because Cedric Alexander turns heel. He has accepted MVP's bribe or challenge or offer, whatever the hell it was, and he is now part of this new stable. And don't get me wrong, I don't want that to happen to poor Apollo. I think finally he's been put in a spot where he's able to shine and proven, oh look, I can shine away, that's flying, don't know what I'm talking about. But he was a Paul Heyman guy. Paul Heyman is now gone. It's quite clear Vince McMahon doesn't see any benefit in the guy, even though he's clearly amazingly talented, but whatever. So I'm going to say this happens, and it's an absolutely crazy situation that we can go crazy about ourselves on that social media. Apparently I live in 1987. So yeah, that's right, when all is said and done, not only do we have a new champion, but we have a brand new stable consisting of Cedric Alexander, MVP, and Bobby Lashley, and maybe Ricochet and Apollo Cruz can come together, and they can get a third guy, and we'll have a bunch of awesome six-man tag team matches. I don't actually think this is going to happen, but doesn't it sound exciting? Yes, it does, and like I say, I'm just going to throw myself out on a limb, which is kind of a stupid thing to do, because then we get to Bayley versus Nicky Cross for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and well, I'm convinced this is more of a filler contest, as WWE tries to decide when they pull the trigger, kapow, on Sasha Banks versus Bayley. Do we do it at SummerSlam? Do we hold off till fans come back? They don't know. So for now, we just have a bout that we've seen around about 32,841 times. And sure, I do think there's a tiny outside chance that Nicky Cross gets the win here, but that would be absolutely bonkers. Two of the best people across all three brands, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, are Bayley and Sasha Banks, and they're only going to get better the longer that they are champions. Bayley should win this. I don't even care if there's shenanigans, and WWE loves shenanigans. You want to do a surprise roll-up? Fine. You want to do disqualification? Fine. You want to do distraction? Fine. Anything is fine, as long as Bayley remains the SmackDown Women's Championship. I think her reign has been awesome. I think this heel turn has actually been the best thing she's ever done since she got to the main roster, and long may it continue. But if you do want the extreme one, fine. Lacey Evans, she just kind of went heel. I think she got mad singing karaoke. I never want to remember that as long as I do live. So she comes out to try and help Bayley because she's decided they're friends now. But then Naomi is also there. She stops Lacey Evans, and it means Nicky Cross is able to win. Don't do that. That sucks. In at number 3, too, we have Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio in an eye for an eye match. One of my casual wrestling fans finally caught up on his TV recently, and he just reads results, doesn't really watch. And he sent me a message saying this doesn't really mean someone has to pull out an eye from their skull. And I had to reply, yes, that's exactly what it means. I mean, come on, it is Extreme Rules. And I really don't have a clue what WWE is going to do here. I mean, if it's going to be a cinematic match, and that's going to be okay, because I guess you can pre-tape it with some special effects. But otherwise, how are we going to see an eye getting removed from somebody else's face, especially when the whole damn product is meant to be PG? When I tune into a Disney film, I don't see Woody rip out Buzz Lightyear's pupil, do I? And if I did, kids that were also watching would start crying, and he'd be like, no, don't worry about that, and then you'd put on Care Bears. But look, here is the way it's gotta go down. Seth Rollins is about to rip out the eye from Rey Mysterio's head. Rey Mysterio's down, it's over, he's got nothing left, when Dominic gets on his knees and he says, please save me, baby. Please, if you save my daddy, I will join your weird cult. There's no longer a cult because you got barely anybody in it. Seth Rollins cackles, like he likes to do. He accepts this, it's enough, and yeah, you'd be like, Miller, that sounds terrible. because the stipulation just ends. WWE does that all the time. But let's not pretend otherwise. And therefore, Seth Rollins has now a new dude, and it's Dominic Mysterio, if that is his real name, and then Ray somehow has to sort this out in his own head. I quite like that, and I think it adds the character of Dominic, well, it gives the character of Dominic far much more depth, and it would actually make me want to tune into Raw. Sometimes I don't really feel that way. If not that, then no, Seth Rollins is just going to have to rip out Rey Mysterio's eyeball. Apparently Rey hasn't signed a new contract, so I guess this will be the end. And I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it again. If we are doing that, sign Rey up for another 6 months or whatever. Have him live in a shack in the middle of nowhere, like in the movie Wolverine. Dominic keeps going to visit him and be like, Dad, you got to come back to the ring. He doesn't, so Dominic then becomes the new Rey Mysterio. Comics do that all the time. New Batman, new Superman, new X-Men. Goes down all the time. Just do that. Make it over the top. Make it emotional. For the love of everything, make it different. The final version is it happens to Seth Rollins, and he has to become Pirate Seth Rollins. We also have another women's title match on the show because it is Asuka defending her Raw women's title against Sasha Banks. I know deep down in my heart, in my soul, in my gut, and everything that's going on around here, probably a liver and a kidney too, I would love it if Sasha Banks did indeed become the Raw women's champion. I think it makes the Sasha Banks and Bayley partnership even better, but I also think that negates the ultimate breaking up of those two, because it should be about the fact that Sasha wants that SmackDown title, and actually, the best way to move that narrative forward is that Sasha does lose, because that means she's even more jealous, green-eyed bugged of her soon-to-be former best friend. Also, just don't take it off Asuka. Don't do it. Her reign right now is absolutely brilliant. She's one of the most entertaining things, again, on Monday nights, and it just doesn't feel like the time. Like sometimes deep in your heart and your soul and all those things I already mentioned, you just know you've got to pull the trigger here again, and if you don't, this thing's got all bad, that's got to come off. If you don't, you're going to have missed the mark, like AEW did with Jon Moxley. Probably a little too soon, but the crowd wanted it, and while we don't have crowds here, you don't take nothing off Asuka. Just have her play a flute with Kairi saying, "Woo-doo-doo." Also, apparently Kairi is about to leave WWE and go back to Japan. We've already teased that we may do Kairi Sane versus Asuka in a I love you, but we're going to fight match. I want to see it. It will be great. And maybe you even do something here when Bayley comes out to try and help her buddy. That distracts her, which always happens, and that's how she loses. That's okay as well. You want to know why? Because it actually benefits the story. This is what I keep saying. It's all right to use these stupid finishes if it actually benefits where you want to go. Just don't do them on every single show because you can't come up with no new ideas. So I'm going with Asuka. No, that's not very extreme. But you know what? We just changed the rules. I can do that. WWE does it. I'm doing it. And then we move on to something I'm absolutely terrified about. It's the bar fight between Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. And do not forget, we are meant to think that the reason Jeff Hardy shouldn't be doing this is because halfway through he may see some whiskey and go glug 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 glug, oh no, I'm drunk again, and then gets broad kicked in the head and loses. And I crap you not, if that's what happens, I may have to question my own fandom. I may have to question my own existence. But considering they are going to be surrounded by bottles, which of course will be gimmicked, and that Jeff Hardy lost at the last pay-per-view, which was absolutely nuts given what a big bully the Irish Curse was being, you must, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, let Jeff Hardy win. It's okay if Sheamus gets hit with 42,000 bottles. It's okay if he gets thrown into a barrel of beer. It's okay if alcohol gets poured all over him. Whatever it takes, meaning he gets pinned to the mat or the bar floor, whatever the hell the rules are for the 1, 2, 3. So Jeff Hardy can go, hey, look, I had some problems, but I was able to get over them, and now I'm standing on top of the world. You just have to send that message out here. I don't like this storyline. I think it's too close to home, but at least that would be something. Either way, it does mean we're going to have a third round, because Sheamus would have won one and Jeff would have won one. So what the hell is the step going to be for the next one? I can't even think anything. They're probably going to fight in a pint of beer. They're going to be shrunk down, like in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you have to swim from the bottom of the beer up to the top. And no one's even laughing at that, because you're actually saying to yourself, I can see Vince McMahon suggesting it. Jeff Hardy, you have to win, and you have to do it for every single person that will be watching. Jeff wins. And the madness keeps on coming, because we're also having a swamp match. I talked about this on Ups and Downs. Is Shrek going to be there? With Princess Fiona going, oh, get off my land, I won this back when I fought the dragon. I don't know what a swamp match is. I don't understand why Bray Wyatt is allowed to just decide why this is going to go down. And I don't really understand why Braun Strowman accepted, because he told us the last time he was at the swamp, he saw a Mossican or Monachan, whatever the hell it was, come out of the sea and just eat Bray Wyatt, but no one gave two hoots. This sounds like a dangerous place. However, given that Bray Wyatt is a creative genius, if anyone is going to make this a success, it's going to be him, and it's in the details where we can kind of figure out about where WWE may be going with this. Because I have come round to the fact that I actually think I like old school Bray Wyatt, whatever you want to call him, more than Firefly Funhouse and The Fiend. Those two are great too, I just prefer this version. But the WWE title is not on the line, and of course The Fiend is the in thing at the moment. When I say WWE title, I mean Universal Championship, they're all the same anyway. So I actually think, again, don't know what the rules are, that Braun Strowman will come away with this as the victor. I hate doing that, but it's the only way I can get it across, which means at SummerSlam, yes, we get one more of these, but then it is The Fiend. The Fiend beats Braun Strowman, meaning he is now the brand new champion. In fact, that's the one I'm most confident on, and I think it's exactly what WWE is going to do. It also explains why we did bring back the original version of Bray Wyatt, because WWE just thinks we can have him lose as many times as is humanly possible, and nobody will care. Well, I care, WWE, I care. This was one of your best creations in years, and you decided to throw it down the toilet. Either way, Braun Strowman will win, but only for another month. And finally, we have Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE title in, I suppose, what I will call a you'll find the stipulation out on the night stipulation match. I still can't believe we've done this. I find it absolutely baffling. The whole point of stipulations is to get fans so excited they tune in beforehand. But now, because we have to tune in to see what the stipulation is, unless it's the greatest idea you've ever heard, you're going to be disappointed. Of course you are. It's like when any wrestling company goes, we've got a mystery opponent. And the mystery opponent used to be, I don't know, the Brooklyn Brawler. And you'd be like, are you kidding me? The Brooklyn Brawler. The only time it kind of worked is when it was Gilbert, and everyone's going, oh, maybe it's Gilbert. And it wasn't. But even then, this has to just be amazing, and I don't think it's going to be. And sure, there's been rumors out there that maybe it's going to be a TLC match, but I don't believe that, because Dolphy Boy Blue told us this is going to be something that nobody has ever heard of before, which means it really should be, no matter what the outcome is, Ziggler becomes a championship match. He can do that. He's in control. It's the only logical thing, and it's the only thing that's not going to happen. But there is absolutely no way that McIntyre loses his belt on this evening. Everyone loves this character. He's been incredibly well booked, and you surely have to be building up to a feud between him and Randy Orton, given that Randy Orton is also smashing it right now. It's not the time for Ziggler to become champion as much as I like him. That would be an absolute mistake. Drew can just kick his head off with a Claymore kick, then do something depending on what the stipulation is, but either way, he wins, and then Dolph will just go and do something else. I mean, 6 weeks ago, he was fighting Otis, and that one just poofed into dust. The extreme version is, though, we mentioned the man that likes to eat meat. Otis cashes in his money on the bank on Drew McIntyre, but still, unfortunately, loses, because again, Drew must remain as the guy for as long as humanly possible, unless you want to give it to Randy Orton at SummerSlam. We'll talk about that later. There you go, there's my predictions for the horror show at Extreme Rules. Get your ass in the comments below, and I want to know every single thing you are thinking in your head in relation to the pay-per-view. I don't need to know anything else. Then make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, head on over to the website whatculture.com and read some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE, and watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. I do actually think on paper Extreme Rules, if nothing else, looks quite entertaining. Make sure you enjoy yourself, because why the hell not? It's much more fun than being a cynical Sally. See ya.